Hi there. Welcome to the Wonderfully Knit podcast. This is episode 2, and I'm Heather, back again this week. So, been a mildly eventful week since the last time I recorded. A couple of different things. I had a root canal the day after, and then after that, while I was recovering from the root canal, I seemed to have come down with the flu. Happily, it was a minor version. We have 2 versions of flu going around right now. One was covered in the vaccine that was given out that I had earlier in fall. The other one is not, but if you got the vaccine, you seem to have a much reduced version. I'm not sure which version I got. I don't really care. It stank. I am not a person who does laying in bed all day very well. I want to do stuff and make stuff. I'm just the kind of person who that's me. I possibly make a terrible patient. Possibly. But what was also really weird this time was that for some reason I was in denial. Normally if I'm sick, I'm like, okay, I'm sick. Let's pound this thing, get out of the way so I can get back to doing what I'm doing. Because I got stuff to do. But not this time. For some reason I was in denial until like yesterday, the day before, that I was even sick at all. And I mean, by that time, I'm on the mend. But yeah, the whole time I'm like, I'm not really sick. This is just an allergy thing, and I'm just going to take some more NyQuil. Yeah, no, I was totally ill. I was sick. Anyway, happily I'm feeling better now, but as a result, not a whole lot was done in the way of crafts last week. I mean, I still did stuff because I was stupid when my butt should have been in the bed, but it was stuff done. We'll talk about that here in a minute. Right now we're going to talk about pre-med stuff once again. Before I get really started into things, the show notes can be found at the Ravelry group. If you go to Ravelry.com, if you're a member there, go ahead and sign in and look for the group. The group is Wonderfully Knit Podcast. Should take you right to me. And you will see that there will be a thread for episode 2. Feel free to comment in there. Once again, you're welcome if you are a medical pre-professional, already a professional, resident, what have you. Feel free to comment over there and in the show notes, and let me know what you think about stuff, contribute any stuff, because what I'm about to talk about is going to be something definitely that you can definitely contribute to, even if you're not a pre-med. And stuff. You may occasionally hear kids in the background, and that's because the local schools have been called on account of some really bad weather we've been having. Visibility is really bad in the highest elevations of our county, and so they called today, which is actually very serious because falling off the side of the mountains is bad. So, to get things started. Yes. So Wonderfully Knit Podcast group on Ravelry, and also you can find our blog at wonderfullyknitpodcast.blogspot.com. So have a look there as well if you're not on Ravelry, which is primarily a website for knitting, crochet, some weaving, and spinners as well. If those are not your things, those are not your métiers, then do come check us out just at the Blogspot and leave comments there. We'll respond there too. So to get started with things, some pre-med student stuff. Once again, it applies here that if you're not a pre-med student, if you're pre-PT or whatever, physical therapy, still comments in the show thread or on the show entry over on the Blogspot. Okay? So right now I'm talking about pre-med because that's what I do. However, this is one of those that can apply across several disciplines as well. And this first one is going to be Student Doctor Network. The website for that one is www.studentdoctor.net. Now it says doctor, but they do have other pre-professional study paths, forums for those as well. So check those out, those fora, and see if there's something there that's useful for you. I am a pre-allopath. Nothing against you osteopaths. I got a lot of respect for osteopaths. My own doctor's an osteopath. And I wouldn't leave that practice if I didn't have to, because I just physically wasn't able to come there anymore because I'm at school or whatever. So, They definitely have an osteopath and an allopath forum. Do check those out. Now, the one warning I give with Student Doctor Network is one that I give every time I recommend it to somebody. There's some folks on there whose motivation is totally to help you out and to get you on the right path and feeling encouraged and buckled down and focused into entering med school. There are other people who perceive you to be competition, and as such, their motivation for giving you advice is not necessarily quite so nice. You're going to have to know how to separate the grain from the chaff with that one. But there's still a ton of very useful information there. For example, there's interview suits for both sides of the spectrum, for all parts of the spectrum for that one. So check that out, because there's a lot of useful threads on there. So Facebook groups, there's a lot of Facebook groups. There's Facebook groups by class for the schools that you're interested in, as well as general one for the school overall, probably. Most likely run by admissions and whatnot out of that school. So that's something to know before you go looking for those. But I have found quite a lot of really good resources just knowing that, I can find this graduation year at this school, and I can look in their about sometimes for their group. You don't even have to join the group. You can look for their about in their group, and you can find a ton of really great resources, like stuff on Google Drives and all this other stuff. That's really, really useful. So check Facebook out and see if there's anything useful for you on there. There is the American Medical Student Association. Now, medical students, obviously, I'm not a medical student yet, but nonetheless, on their website, they also have a kind of a subsection. If you look over on the left on the upper side on the left side, in the upper portion of the first website you come to at www.amsa.org, you will see that there is also a line that says for pre-medical students. So do check them out. They do have some organizations for there. In addition, check out your campus organizations. If you have a pre-professional program at your school, the likelihood is far more than not that there's also an associated pre-professional health organization. It may be pre-med, it may be, as at my school, that organization covered the umbrella of concentrations that our school offered. The thing that's really great about those is that, number one, you're going to get a lot of opportunities right from the get-go. If your organization's halfway decent, a lot of opportunities right from the get-go to do two important things. Three important things. Number one, it can provide a leadership opportunity for you if you get involved and happen to get elected, as I was, to an office in the organization. Number two, you're going to find a lot of really great volunteer opportunities, because that's one of the things that I have found that a good pre-professional organization also works to find as well. So there's that as well. In addition, while you're doing all of this, you're networking with other people who are going to wind up in the professions that you will need to be talking to. So you start networking with those people, especially those people in your general area, which you're probably going to return to after you have completed your residency. This is going to be valuable information. It's going to be a really great start on the professional network that you will need to have established later when you go to establish yourself in your own practice or practice with a partner or hospital or what have you. So check those out. Those are worth their weight in gold. One other valuable thing, and I'm going to say this even though this might be conceived to be mildly discouraging. The other thing that you will find with these organizations where you find these opportunities to volunteer, especially volunteer in a medical medical kind of volunteerism, you might discover that this is not for you. That information is so valuable, I don't even know how to categorize it. If it's not for you, know now. Find out now before it is many, many thousands of dollars down the road and you realize that you have made a terrible mistake. It is valuable information to say that this is not for you. So there's that too. That's not a thing we like to think about, but the reality is that most of the people who you see in, let's say, your first semester, most of those people are not going to make it to med school. We have, I think, 4 or 5 people from our program who started in my chemistry class. My first chemistry class headed back was, of course, Gen Chem 1 for majors. And of the people who said that they were going to be applying to med school, there's me and 2 other people, and I think that's it. And we started with many more times that. If you go into any Gen Chem class and your first question on the very first day is, okay, who's a pre-med? You're going to get, there was 130 in my class. I think we had 50, 55 plus who are like, oh yeah, I'm pre-med. And now we have 2 or 3 who are actually going seriously with it. And 2 of those were our international students who will be attending med school in their own nations. So yes, so that's the pre-med stuff. Now, I'm going to talk about stash stuff. Now, there's nothing for stash this week significantly. There's no fiber stash of any kind. The only real addition to stash I have is this little beauty here. This is a lace bobbin winder. I've been looking for one of these inexpensively for a while now because I got a lace bobbin kit several years ago, but I didn't have a lace bobbin winder, and let me just tell you, I am not the chick who's going to sit there and meticulously wind one piece of thread around a lace bobbin and then repeat it times 25 or more. No. But I am a tool using monkey, and I will totally use this. So you stretch the little elastic. See this? Yeah. You stretch the elastic, over your bobbin, your lace bobbin. Obviously, this is a colored pencil. And then you turn the thing, and you can see that it turns. And, of course, you have this C-clamped to a table. But it's a cunning little device. It cost me like $22. It is by C-Bar5 Creations on Etsy.com. I'll provide a link in the show notes. You can check that out. And I look forward to a lot of uses from this. My husband's an engineer, and he thought it was a very cute little device himself. Gears, pulleys, and yay! So cool. So that's been my stash enhancement. The other thing is that a member of our local knitting community, the lady who owns our local yarn shop, very suddenly lost a family member, and as a result, while she is in mourning and dealing with the ramifications of that sudden death, our local yarn shop is closed for the remainder of the month until she can take care of the things that she has to take care of on her end. And we all wish her all the best and offer her our condolences in this time. But on to projects. So last week, everything that I talked about was a sock knitting project. That's going to change this week, but we are going to talk about sock knitting project right at first, because this is one of my sock projects. It's not a sock. There's not a sock in here. There was a sock in here, but not anymore. So this is what I get for possibly naming a project after a character who can at best be described as unpredictable in the series. I got the toe. I got it finished all the way down to the end of the toe. I did not close the toe because I thought, this seems a little bit narrow. So I tried it on me, and I was like, well, snot. It doesn't fit my foot. It's really too snug. I don't like this fit at all. It's like I like a snug fitting sock, but this was too tight. And so I called in my eldest. Surely it'll fit her. Well, no. She has suddenly decided that she's going to grow feet the size of her mom's. So it didn't fit her. It was too tight for her as well. And then my youngest is too young by years to be wearing it. So I just just frogged the whole thing, and now it's back down to a skein. And I don't know what else is going to be, but it's going to be a pair of socks, and I want them to be for me because that's my goal for 2015. The last part of 2014 featured lots of socks that were intended for me, but ended up fitting, say, my husband or somebody else, or just didn't work out for various reasons. And by gum, 2015, I'm going to have some socks for me and some yarn that has some nylon or silk in it. Ugh. Because that was the other thing. I finished some socks in 2014. They were this glorious, like Blue Moon Fiber Arts. They're socks that rock. Yeah, I wore them around the house, and by the third wearing, one of the pairs that I finished in August, the third wearing, I had a hole in the ball of my foot from just wearing the socks in the house. I was very disappointed in that, and so my new, as much as I love that sock stuff, I love Blue Moon Fiber Arts, socks that rock. I love that stuff, but and I'll keep using it. I'm just not going to be using it for socks unless it's also like been bolstered with some, I don't know, some maybe some nylon thread or something that I add in to help it wear better, because this is ridiculous. I can't do this anymore. It's like heartbreak. So there's that one. Goes to the frog pond. Now, I did have some successful knits, and they were they weren't socks, but they were sock-like. These are some homemade slippers, bed socks for my husband. That's why they're enormous, literally larger than my head. Yes. And those are from the Stippers pattern, which is by Ashley Knowlton. I was looking for some stuff on just Knitty.com. I was just running around on Knitty.com, and I came across this pattern, and it seemed really, really cute and like something that would be decently unisex, and it is. My husband loves these. He has already worn them to bed. I haven't had a chance to block them, because like to give them their first wash and block them and make them look even nicer than this, because he keeps wearing them in bed. This is Cascade Ecological Wool, bulky yarn. The pattern says that it takes about 100 grams of bulky wool. This took about 50 grams of the ecological wool, though, so I'm not sure what the deal is outside of normal yarn variation between yarns, because the pattern is not written for, it's written for bulky wool, but it's not written for this brand of bulky wool, so that could be the difference there. And then while my silly butt should have been in bed, another thing I made was yarn. I spin. I don't spin a whole bunch. This is literally the second skein of anything I have ever made. And you can see that it looks like a second skein. It is actually decently balanced, which surprises me very pleasantly, but it's still rather a thick and thin wool. It's not very even. This is a 2-ply, and one ply is Rambouillet and the other ply is Polworth. After I applied this up, I determined that maybe I don't want to apply those two together. I'll apply them separately. The Polworth is the fluffier, thicker ply, and the Rambouillet is the thinner ply. Man, it wanted to be a fine yarn. It was just going to be a fine yarn. And so the next skein I decided to do was 2-ply Rambouillet, and it came out beautifully. I'm very pleased. It is just kitten soft. I could just put it up here next to myself and be happy. Just tuck it in my neck and just wear it that way. I have some more of the singles on bobbins, I think, and I'm going to see about, of course, I still have some more roving to spin up into singles with this one, and it is totally going to happen because I love this. This is going to be something lacy and lofty and soft and next to the skin. Love this. The Polworth is going to be too, but it's obviously going to be a bulkier yarn because I've already spun up all the Polworth. So we'll see what that is. I don't know. I might get a good bulky out of that and do a chain ply, a Navajo ply with that, and maybe if I have enough, I'll weigh it and see if I have enough to make a pair of stippers for me out of my own handspun. That'll be really great. Other thing I spoke last time about the Renaissance Middle Ages reenactment stuff I do. I've been working on a project for that. Not much more to show this week than some seams, which that right there is what one of my seams looks like on the outside. And that is what it looks like on the inside, because I have a firm belief that the inside should be as pretty as the outside. Unlike that. I also find that they wear much better. That's also an underarm gusset area, and so I want to be sure that there's plenty of stitching there to make sure that an area that sees kind of a lot of tugging and a lot of activity is not going to see broken, worn seams. That's rather important to me. So I think that's it this week, except for the weekly endorsement of coffee, because coffee. Wonderfully Knit Podcast endorses coffee in all forms, shapes. So, once again, you can see our podcast notes for this episode at www.ravelry.com, at our group there, which can be searched by using the search string Wonderfully Knit Podcast, or at Wonderfully Knit Podcast, all one word, .blogspot.com, wonderfullyknitpodcast.blogspot.com. Leave us a comment if you have anything to contribute or have any questions or just want to say hi. Be sure and join our group. Let us know what you're interested in. Let me know what you're interested in, not us. Let me know what you're interested in, and tell the rest of the group as well. Thanks for hanging around and watching me. Later.